Good morning, afternoon and evening, my crazies, and my name's Angela. I'm the Crazy Poppy Lady and welcome back to another tutorial. Today's tutorial is for my Pride bucket hat, which of course I'm wearing today. Now this can be worn in a couple of different ways. You can have your brim sitting down. You can curl it up. I actually like it this way, so it looks more like a cowgirl hat. Okay. And of course, if you're cheeky enough, you can have it sitting on the side, sitting that side. You can really wear it however you feel. I absolutely loved working this pattern, and although it does look a little bit complicated, I break this video down into steps to make it easier for you to work through. Also, there is a written pattern over on the Ravelry shop. In that pattern you get links to, of course, this video, to how to do the stitch up here video, as well as a couple of other little helpful bits. So for anybody new following today's tutorial, here are a little couple of tips and tricks. Sometimes I do make mistakes on my videos with my verbalization. So what I'll do is I will pop that on screen if I notice it during editing. If I don't notice it, it will be included in our oops I've mucked up section in the description box down below. Please also check that description box for any timestamps relating to any rows or any changes within the pattern. Okay, so in there you will have timestamps to row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 and any more. As well, of course, you will have a link in the pattern to an easier version of how to do this square that is a lot slower, so that you can have a watch of that first, have a practice of that first, and then be used to doing that stitch before incorporating it into this hat today. Okay, come on, let's go and get on with the video. So now let's talk about the colours that have been chosen for today's project. Each of these colours has a beautiful meaning behind their choices. Okay, our first colour is a red. Okay, and the meaning on the flag is love. How beautiful is that? So red is love. Then an orange. Okay, I'm sorry to say mine is a little bit bright. I haven't got a more muted orange, but hey, do I need muted? The orange is the colour that represents respect. Then we have our yellow, and again that colour represents freedom. Our next colour up is a green. That one represents tolerance. Then we have a blue, and this one represents equality. And our final colour, now I've only got a large ball of this one, I haven't got one of the minis because I've already used it, but our final colour, I'm sorry to say, is not showing up on camera. It is a purple, and it is pride. So that's right, they are the 6 colours of the flag that I'll be representing today within this video and for this hat. Okay, the colourways you are going to need if you are using the Signet little ones, or of course the Signet Pato Everyday DK, you are looking in the red for a colourway, I'll get it up the right way, colourway shade 994, which is red. The orange is 995. This is out of their brights range. The yellow is a colourway 996. They do also have a brights in yellow, but I haven't got any of that one. They also have a brights in green, but today I have chosen a colourway apple, and that is 988. The blue is a tropic, and it is a 992. And of course the purple, which I really love this shade as well. It's a shame it's not showing up too well, but the purple here is a mauve, and it is a 985. Okay, you are also going to need a 4mm hook, a darning needle, and some stitch markers. Right, so let's get on with this pattern. Now, my camera does actually have issues of picking up red, so I'm going to be a little bit naughty here. I'm going to be swapping out just the instructions section of this video. I'm going to be doing in an off blue or a mint, just to show you how to do the stitch, and then I will remake it in the red so that when we go to work on the next layers, the next stripe of the rainbow, of course you will see that the previous one was done in red. Okay, so as I've told you the colours already, what I'm going to be doing is pretty much making this next one in blue and white. Okay, now I will be having the colour that that I used in the one that is in the photographs in our rainbow. I will have the colour off to one side so you can see what colour you should be using at that point of the hat. Okay, now the reason I've done this is because quite a lot of the colours that I'm using, that I've used in the original hat, this one here, okay, are blowing out the camera. As you can see, it's not liking the yellow, it's not liking the orange or the red. Okay, so it's blowing out the camera, so I'm thinking the best option here is to make it in a blue and white, and then of course have the colour just up here in this corner for the colour that you should be using, because then if it blows the screen this end, it doesn't really matter, does it? Right, so let's get on with the pattern. Okay, so first up we are going to make a double magic loop ringy thingy. Okay, so to do that, of course, we run our yarn around our fingers 2 times, hold it, pop your hook under and grab the yarn and pull it through, twist your fingers slightly and pick up the same strand again, sort of at the back of your hand. There we go, and you can pull that forwards as well. And I like to quickly flick my finger back. Sorry, that's a little trick I've learned because of making hundreds of thousands of these things. Okay, so once you've done it, you pull up your loop. Now we're going to place 6 single crochets into our magic ring. Pull up the loop. Now close your magic ring. Pull on this strand gently, you'll find one that shrinks away. Then we are going to grab that one and pulling from the top, we're going to pull that out so that it closes the other ring. Once you've done that, find your tail and then tug that and it closes it up. Now what I also like to do on this next row is work over this yarn once all the way around, but you don't have to, you can sew it in later. I'll also be sewing it as well. Okay, so pop your yarn back on your hook, and now we're going to start straight away onto a round number 2. So for this one, it is an increase in each single crochet all the way around. So your best bet to find your start is to count back from the hook. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Pop your hook through, pull up a loop, do a single crochet. Now we're going to add another one into the same place for our increase. At this point, grab your stitch marker, count back 2 stitches and pop it in. Okay, this way, because you will not lose your placement. Of course, we are working in the round with this hat today. Okay, so our next stitch we are placing an increase in, and we're going to place a further 4 more increases all the way around. So in total you will have done 6 increases and you will have 12 stitches. Okay, so and now we are going to work on to row number 3. To start off with, we are going to place an increase in this very first spot. Then of course place our stitch marker in. So count back 2, pop that stitch marker through. Good boy. Okay, so and now for our pattern repeat, it is a stitch 1, increase, and you're going to repeat that all the way around, and your very last stitch will be a single crochet on its own. Our very first stitch is an increase, so then pop your stitch marker back in. Remember, it's 2 stitches back. And then we are going to do a single crochet and then another single crochet. So our repeat for this one is an increase followed by 2 single crochets. Now for round number 5, we're going to start with an increase. So that's 2 single crochets in the same spot. Pop our stitch marker back in, 2 stitches back, remember. And then we will be doing 3 stitches, followed by our increase. We're going to do the same all the way around. So it's an increase followed by 3 single crochets, and you'll end up with your 3 when you get to the end. Okay, so before we work on to our next stitch,
we are actually going to be changing colour. So this is where we finish up with the white, and here is a really cool trick so that your lines stay equal all the way around. Okay, so on your last stitch you're going to cut off your yarn, giving yourself enough of a tail, and then pull up your yarn. Now thread your yarn onto into your needle. There we go. And we're going to do what's called an invisible join. So this one is really simple. You've got your next stitch that you would have been working into. Instead, you are going to slide your needle through there like that. Come on, focus in. There we go. So it's going to go through like that. Okay, and then you're going to come over the top of this previous stitch, pop your needle through. Okay, going from the top and then out the back and pull through. And then once you've given your stitches a little wiggle, you'll see there you can't tell where one stitch begins and the next one ends. So I really love this method of joining. Okay, and then it's just a case of securing your end. I'm just going to quickly ram this down the bottom so it's out the way. Secure your end and sew them in. So sew in both of these ends, and then come back to the video and we'll work on to the next colour. Okay, so now we are going to do what's called a standing single crochet, and this we are going to do into that very first stitch in the round. Okay, so to do it, you make a slip knot and you pop it on your hook. Okay, then grab your work, pop your hook straight in, pull up your yarn and complete your stitch as if it was any other normal single crochet. Okay, and then what we want to do is, might as well pop your stitch marker into the top of that straight away so we know where that stitch starts. Although, to be honest, for this round you will be able to see it. Okay, so let's get on with the pattern repeat for this round. Okay, so we start with an increase, then we will be doing 4 stitches or 4 single crochets. Okay, and we'll just be repeating this sequence all of the way around. So that is an increase into the next stitch, followed by 4 single crochets.
Right gang, this video will get extremely long if I carry on showing you every stitch in every round. So from this point on, all I'm going to be doing is telling you the what round we're on and what your stitch pattern needs to be for the increase for this round. I hope you understand, but how long do we want this video? 3-4 hours long?
What I did forget to mention though when we were doing the invisible join is that you're actually meant to pull that stitch tight, or you end up with what looks like an extra stitch. Okay, if you're like me and your stitch count is exact up to this point, but don't panic. When it comes to sewing in the end for our blue, we can hide that gap really easily. Right, so let's get on with the next round. So this is of course round number 7. We are going to work directly into the top of that first stitch with an increase. followed by 5 single crochets. That is our pattern all the way along, so that is an increase followed by 5 single crochets. Right, so we are on to round number 8. Of course, our very first stitch is an increase. Do your 2, pop in your stitch marker. And now we are going to work round. So our stitch count is, of course, the increase followed by 6 single crochets. That is an increase followed by 6 single crochets. Now for row number 9. So for this one we of course are starting with our increase. Add your stitch marker back in, and then we are going to do 7 single crochets. And that is your stitch repeat throughout this round. Increase followed by 7 single crochets. Now it's time for round number 10. So again we are going to start off with an increase as our first stitch in this round. Grab your stitch marker, pop it back in. Then we are going to be doing 8 single crochets. And that is your pattern repeat for this round. So that's increase followed by 8 single crochet. Okay, so we are at the end of this round, and this is of course where we are going to be changing colour again. That's right, we're already on to the next colour. So what we're going to do is pull up our yarn from that last loop, hook it on and sew it in using the invisible join as I showed you earlier how to do, but I'll show you once again. In through the next stitch, and then back, oh sorry, and then and back and through, stitch there. Okay, and then it's a case of sewing in these ends, and I'll meet you back here in a few moments once you're complete. Okay, so and now we are on to the next colour change, and as you can see it is a yellow. Okay, so and now it's time for round number 11. Pop a slip knot on your hook, and we are going to do a standing single crochet again to start this row with. There we go. Into the same hole, of course, place another single crochet. There is our increase, and our pattern for this one is a 9 single crochets. Okay, so that is an increase followed by 9 single crochets. I'll meet you back here when you're finished. Okay, so and now we are back for round number 12. Okay, and we're going to jump straight into that very first single crochet, and we are going to place an increase in it. Add your stitch marker, 2 stitches back, there we go, and then we are going to add in 10 single crochet. So your pattern for this round is increase followed by 10 single crochets. Repeat that all the way around. I'll meet you back here in a minute. Now it's time for row number 13. So for this one, increase in the first, stitch marker back in, okay, and then we will be doing 11 single crochets. So the pattern for this one is increase followed by 11 single crochets. I will meet you back here in a bit. See you shortly. Back for row number 14. So for this one, we are increasing in the first stitch, and then we are going to be doing 12 single crochets around, and that is our pattern throughout. So that is an increase followed by 12 single crochets. I'll meet you back here shortly. Now for round 15. At the end of this round, we will be sewing in our ends again. Okay, so for this one, our first stitch of course is an increase, and then we are going to be following it up with 13 single crochets. So the pattern is increase followed by 13 single crochets. I'll meet you back here when you have finished this round. Right, so we're at the end of this round. Pull up your yarn, pop it on your hook, and let's do that invisible join. And now it's a case of sewing in your ends and meeting me back here in a few moments, where we will then work onto this section of the hat. Now if you have never done this stitch before, I suggest that you check this video out here. This is where I will show you how to do this stitch a lot slower. Okay, the main information you will need is how to pick up your loops and then how to take them back off your hook as you're working through backwards and forwards. Other than that, I'm going to show you now how to do the blocks and how to join them to your hat to make sure that you've got them around the right way. Right. Now it's time to start working on this band. Okay, our first colour up today is going to be red, but of course I'm going to be doing it in the colours that I'm working this hat. So you'll be starting with red, and I will make sure that the colour is in the corner as normal. Okay, now let's get going. So right, so for this one we are going to be doing a back post style pickup. Okay, so you're going to go through the back, around the stitch, and then into the other side like that. Then grab your yarn, leaving yourself a decent length of tail. Okay, so I'll pop your loop on your hook and pull it through. Okay, so that is your first loop picked up. Now for the second, we are going to come in and we are going to go to the next post along, pop our hook through as we've done, and pull up a loop. That's number 2. We're going to do this for a total of 6 times for this very first square. Okay, so that is your 6 loops on your hook. Now it's best to stop now and double check that you've picked up your loops correctly. When you unravel, your right side should be facing you, okay, and the loops will be sitting like this. Sorry, the stitches will be sitting like this on your hook. I love the way this effect looks because when it comes to finishing it up completely, you get a gentle rainbow worked around your rim that you can only see if you look closely. Okay, so now let's complete row number 1 of box number 1. So to do that, you're going to hook over. We are going to pull through 2 loops at a time. Okay, so pull through the first 2, stop, hook over, pull through the second 2, stop, hook over, pull through the third set, stop, hook over, pull through the fourth set, stop, hook over, and the 5th set. You will now have a 1 loop on your hook. Do not worry about this stitch becoming loose, because of course you can gently pull that so it is the same length as the rest by manipulating the tail. Now for block 1 row 2, we are going to be picking up these front post loops here. Okay, you will have 5 of these to work through. So you're going to pop your hook through, hook over, and pull through a loop, stop, pick up the next post, hook over, pull through, stop, into the next post, hook over, pull through, stop, and then into the 5th post, hook over, pull back, and stop. You will have 5 loops on your hook. We need a 6, so to achieve that 6 we're going to turn our work slightly, and you will see that there is a V, a stitch running up the side shaped like a V. So you pop your hook in, making sure you pick up those 2 loops, then hook over, pull through, and stop. Okay, so that's the first part of this row. Now on to the second part. We're going to hook over. We are going to pull our loop through the first 2, then hook over and pull through the second 2, the third 2, then the 4th 2, and then the last 2. Okay, so that is row number 2 done. We're going to do that another 2 times. Okay, so I'm going to speed up now by picking up those front posts, five loops on your hook, find the 6th by turning to the side, turning to the side and popping your hook through the second V running up the side, hook over, pull through. Okay, and now let's work back again. So that's hooking over and pulling through 2 loops per time. Okay, and last row, pick up those front posts, five loops on your hook, turn to the side, pick up the 3rd V up the side, hook over. Let's go back again to the start by hooking over and pulling through 2 loops at a time. Now for the last row, we're still working into these front posts. So pick up the loop, slip stitch, pick up the loop, pull it through, finish as a slip stitch, pick up the loop, finish as a slip stitch, then the 5th one, finish it as a slip stitch, and then we still need to do that 6th stitch. So I go into the side again, pull up your loop and finish as your slip stitch, hook over, pull through to finish, and then cut off your yarn, scooching down your knot as you go. Okay, so that is the end of block 1 done. Right, so if you are following along for the pride hat, then your next colour is going to be purple. I'm just going to do this sample one to show you in purple, strip it back and then do it in the colours I need for this particular hat. Okay, so for the pride it's purple. If you're copying my colours, it's white. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, normally you would work this way round your circle, but we're not. We're going to go backwards. Right, so we are going to work back, and we are going to count back 5 stitches. Place your hook from the back into that stitch and then catch it as a post stitch. Grab your yarn, hook it over and pull it through. That is stitch number 1. Then we're going to move on to pick up number 2. So doing the same method as before. So we've got 2 loops on the hook, move on to the next, 3 loops on your hook, onto the next, 4 loops on your hook, and then the last one for your 5th loop on your hook. Okay, just like that. Now we need to pick up a 6th loop. We are going to work into this first stitch on the side of the first square that you've just completed. So go through both sections, making sure you've got the V, and pull up a loop. Now you have your 6 stitches on your hook. You're going to hook over and pull through 2, hook over, pull through 2, hook over, pull through 2, hook over, pull through 2, hook over and pull through 2. Okay, so for our next row we are going to pick up those front posts, or whatever I called them last time. Okay, so we're going to pick up the 5 stitches working along. For the 6th, you are going to go into the next side V stitch from the previous square. Then you're going to hook over, pull through 2, all the way to the end. Then we're going to do a row number 3 the same way as row 2. Five loops on the hook, pick up the 6th, which is the next unworked V stitch on the side. Hook over, pull through 2, hook over, pull through 2, all the way to the end. So that's row number 3 done. Now on to row number 4. Repeat number 2. Then into the next V on the side of your square. Go over, pull through 2. Then for our last row on this block, it's a slip stitch row. So we're going to do 5 slip stitches worked along the top. And the 6th one in the next unworked stitch to the side on the blue square. Okay, and that is the end of row number 2, block number 1. Now for row number 2, block number 2, we are going to now have to pick up 5 loops. So we're going to work along the top, for 4 loops, and the 5th loop you look down the side and you pick it up from there. Okay, hook over, and then we're going to come back by going through 2 stitches at a time, as we've done on previous rows. Now that is a row number 1 complete. Now we're going to copy rows 2, 3 and 4 on your square, and then finish off with the slip stitches along the top. Once you have finished this square, come back to the video and I'll show you again how to join your yarn and how to create 3 blocks. Now let's get on with row number 3. So for row number 3 we are going to count back 5, pop your hook through as you've done previously, working from the back, pull up a loop, and then we are going to do that over the next 4 stitches. And then the 5th, 5 loops on your hook, and then we are going to pick up the 6th by going through the first row of the previous square. So we've got the 6 on the hook, and then we are going to complete our square as we normally do. Row 2, row 3, row 4, row 5, slip stitch, now the last stitch, slip stitch. Right, and now it's time to work on to block number 2. We are going to pick up our loops over the next 5 stitches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay, then go back to the beginning by yarning over and pulling through 2 at a time, as you've done in previous rows. Now for row number 2, go into the side of the square, row number 3, side of the square, yep. Row number 4, row number 5, slip stitch, now for block number 3. Now for block number 3, row number 3, is a repeat of block number 2, row number 2. So let's pull up those loops. And then, then let's work to the end, pulling through our 2 loops at a time. I'm assuming that you have now got the hang of this square. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here in the video and meet me back in a few moments to start on block number 4, which will of course be in a different colour. Okay, so now it's time for me to cheat a little and just talk you through the pattern as for you to be able to carry on. Now you've already worked 1 square of red, 2 squares of purple, 3 squares of blue. Your next is 4 squares of green. Okay, and once you have done those 4 squares of green, you then move on to 4 squares of yellow, 4 squares of orange, and then we repeat the sequence again. So then it is 4 squares of red, 4 squares of purple, 4 squares of blue, 4 green, 4 yellow, 4 orange, and then you repeat it a couple more times until you get to the end, where you will be finishing with, where are we? There we go. 4 squares of orange. Okay, once you get to this point where your join is, meet me back here and I will show you how to join the colours so that you can work your squares going up and removing 1 square per row until you get to the end.
Right, so we're back for the next set of rows. Our first one up is going to be red, and we're going to do 3 squares. Then it will be purple, and we're going to do 2 squares. Then we're going to do a blue, and it's only the 1 square. Don't do that green. Right, so let me show you how to do it and how to join our yarn. First of all, we are going to pop our hook through that very first stitch, and picking up the red, we're going to pull up our loop. Then we are going to carry along our square, picking up our 6 loops that we need. And then finish off our row as we've done previously. As you can see, it was super easy to pick up the stitches here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut the video because I'm trying to save some time on this one, gang, and I'm going to let you carry on going. So remember, on this row you are going to need to complete a further 2 more red squares. Once you've done that, of course you can carry on going with the 2 purples and the 1 blue, and now you know what you're doing. I will see you back here shortly to show you how to join your work. Now, a neater way of doing the join and an easier and quicker way is to slip stitch down. Okay, now what you want to have done is left a decent length tail so that you can work your tail as your slip knot as you slip stitch, sorry, as you go down. But of course mine are too short. Remember, this is my mock-up first hat, so my second hat will be a lot better. So what we would have done is just grabbed one of your tails, pop your hook through, okay, and you want both of those bottom stitches, hook over and pull through, and then we would just go all the way down like that with our slip stitch join. Okay, and you'd keep going until you've done 5 stitches in that colour, and then you would pick up the next corresponding colour, and of course we would slip stitch through for the 6th stitch, and then you would carry on going with the blue, then you'd move to your purple, your red, your yellow, and you keep going and down. But of course for me, because I don't have that, I'm just going to grab a scrap bit of yarn from somewhere else and finish this hat. Now this one will be going to a neighbour's kid or something, so I'm not too worried, because they like having all my mismatch items. Okay, So here we go. Now remember, you need to keep your tension on your slip stitch very even, okay, and ideally you want it to be the same consistency as your other stitches, that way your hat won't bow at this point. Okay, and when we done that one, sorry, this is a bit awkward because of all my ends. Okay, and we just, as I said, we just match the corresponding stitches going down our work until you get to the end.
Okay, so now it's time to start your hat brim. So the first round of this is in green, and what I suggest that you do is on your actual hat, of course if you're using the bright colours, join your yarn at the beginning of one of the green squares. This way it will blend in beautifully and it won't be seen. Okay, so for me I'm going to be working with a blue because my last row was white. So I'm going to be doing a standing single crochet, and a quick reminder on that is it's a slip knot on your hook, and pop your hook through the first stitch, pull up a loop, and then finish off your stitch as a single crochet. Now for this round it is really simple. We are just doing single crochet all the way around your hat. Now when you get to the end you should have a stitch count of 90. Okay, once you have done this round, come back and see me and I'll show you what to do for round number 2. So for this round we are going to be slip stitching into that first stitch from this previous round. Now we're going to be working on to round number 2. For this one it is a front post single crochets. Okay, so to create your front post, go through your stitch and then back again like that. So the reverse of what we did when we were joining our squares on. And we're going to do that the whole way around. Okay, so once you've done that, meet me back here. Now it's time to start with our pattern for this round. It starts off by doing 7 single crochets. And then place in an increase and follow that up with 14 single crochets, and we're going to repeat that all the way around. So that is an increase followed by 14 single crochets. You will be ending the round up here with 7 single crochets. Now we are staggering where we are starting our increases each round, so that it means that our brim is rounder in shape rather than being sort of a little bit squared off like the top section is. I will meet you back here when you have finished this round. So again, that is an increase followed by 14 single crochets. Now for round number 4. This one's a nice easy one. We are going to start with an increase, and our pattern for repeat for this one is an increase followed by 15 single crochets. and you're just going to repeat that all the way around. So I will meet you when we get back to here. So that is an increase followed by 15 single crochets. Now for round number 5. Now this one we are starting with 8 single crochets, so make sure that you of course mark that first stitch. So that's 8 single crochets followed by an increase. Now for our pattern repeat all the way around, we are going to be crocheting 16 followed by our increase, or our increase followed by 16, depending on which way round you want to go, and you are going to end the round with 8 single crochet. Now we're on to round number 6. Now at the end of this round we will be adding a new colour. Okay, so keep an eye out for the directions at the end of this section. Okay, so for this round we are going to start off with an increase into your first stitch, and then our stitch pattern is 17 single crochets. So that, let me repeat that for you. That is an increase followed by 17 single crochets. I will meet you back here before you get to the end. Okay, so we have come to the end of this round. So what you need to do is cut your yarn, pull up your loop, and then do an invisible join, as I have shown you how to do previously. I'm going to do this one quite quickly. You pop your needle under the next stitch, picking up the V, then you pull it round and you pop it back in the loop where your yarn originally came from. Then it's a case of sewing in at that end and any others that you have floating around. As you can see with this one, I've been very naughty. And then we will join our next colour in a few moments once you've done this. Right, so now we're going to start this next round with a standing single crochet. So pop a loop on your hook. Now the colour choice for this round for me is white. If you are following along with the hat, your next colour choice is going to be the blue. Right, so what we're going to do here is we are going to add our standing double crochet. Hold on, I've just got to find it again. Yep. Our standing and double crochet into the top of the first increase. And just like that, okay, or like this. Once that is done, so now it's time to start this round. We are going to place another 8 single crochets into this round, giving us a total of 9. And now it's time for our pattern repeat. So that is an increase followed by 18 single crochets, and we're going to repeat that all the way around, and you're going to end with 9 single crochets at the end of this round. Right, I will meet you back here shortly when you get back to the start. Right, so and now we are back to the start of round number 8. So for this one we are going to place a double crochet directly into the top of that very first stitch. Okay, and then our pattern repeat for this row is increase followed by 19 single crochets. That's an increase followed by 19 single crochets. I will meet you back here shortly. Now it's time to cheat so that I can cut down the length of time this video is taking, 1 to record and 2 to get out to you. I'm now just going to read you the pattern and tell you the rows that you need to do, because you've got the visuals previously for how to do each stage. So for row number,
Right, so let's read this cheeky pattern for you. We are going to be starting on round number 9. You are going to need to do 10 single crochets, and then we will start our pattern repeat, which is an increase followed by 20 single crochets. You're going to repeat that 5 times, then follow it up with an increase, then 10 single crochets. For round number 10, it's a lovely simple one. It is just a case of popping in an increase in the first stitch and then following it with a 21 single crochets, and repeat that all the way around. So that is an increase and then 21 single crochets. For round number 11, it's 11 single crochets. Then we start our pattern repeat of an increase followed by 22 single crochet. That is an increase followed by 22 single crochet, and we will be ending up the round with an increase followed by 11 single crochet. Now we are going to change our colour to purple, so remember to do that invisible join, and then of course picking up your purple or whatever colour you're using and doing a standing stitch into the next double crochet along in the round. Keeps it nice and neat that way. And then we will be starting on round number 12. So for round number 12, a nice, simple and easy, it's an increase followed by a 23 stitches, sorry. So that is an increase followed by a 23 stitches. Then for round number 13, we will be starting off with 12 single crochet. Our pattern repeat is going to be an increase with 24 single crochets to follow, and you'll be ending the round with an increase and then 12 single crochet. For round number 14, here's a nice simple one again. It is an increase followed by 25 single crochet. That's right, an increase followed by 25 and single crochet. And then the very last thing you need to do, of course, is that invisible join. Once you have completed that and sewn in all your ends, your hat is ready to wear. Congratulations! Right, if you would like a written copy of this pattern, it is now available over on the Ravelry shop. There will be a link on this end screen now, and there is also a link in the description box down below. Right, that is it for me for today. I'm heading out of here. I will see you all really soon. If you can, please stay in and definitely stay safe. Ta-ra for now, everybody.